Good afternoon, or good morning, or good evening, depending on where you are, because I notice that we've got some people from New Zealand and Western Australia and the eastern states as well, and also our central states. So thank you for joining us here today. We're going to talk about the Australian Professional Speakers Academy. I'm your host, Warwick Merry. I've been, just as a bit of background, I've been the Victorian President last year for National Speakers. I've also been, I'm currently serving on the board as well. So today what we wanted to do is, because as you're probably aware, Professional Speakers Academy has changed from what it used to be, and there's been a few questions that have come up. So we wanted to find out what were the questions that people had, but also share with people what Speakers Academy now is. As with all webinars, strongly encourage you to interact. The more you interact, the more value you're going to get out of it. So get your questions answered. Two ways to interact. The first one, and probably the preferred one to start with, is the little question box there. So if you have a question that you want to ask, just type it in. We've got a couple of people who have joined us on the phone. The other way to, so you are unable to type in on the phone, I'm sorry. I'm not quite sure how that works. But if you have any questions you want to ask, just raise your hand using the little icon on the screen, and we will open up your microphone. We can have a bit of a conversation to you. For those people who are on the phone, I may well just open up the microphone at some stage and just ask your question and find out what questions you've got. So get your questions ready, because at some random stage we may open up to. So please ask lots of questions. Find out what you need to know to make Speakers Academy successful for you. You'll be happy to know that we've run a couple of sessions with Speakers Academy in the new format so far, and so we're going to be able to put some information into that. So we felt that the best person to talk about Speakers Academy is, of course, our National Manager of Speakers Academy, who is Kevin Ryan, CSP. Now, Kevin's been on the board for several years. I believe you've been president as well. So, look, without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Kevin, who's going to give us a bit of a rundown, and he and I are going to have a bit of a chat and, again, answer those questions about Speakers Academy. Kevin, welcome to the call.
Thank you, Warwick, and welcome to everyone else online as well. I'm delighted to be able to take this opportunity to talk about Speakers Academy, because I think it's far and away the most recognisable product that the National Speakers Association has. It was originally, many years ago, adapted from a model which was started in the National Speakers Association of the United States, and we, with their blessing, brought it in here and adapted it for the Australian conditions, the Australian market. And it stayed in that format for quite a few years, and it actually consisted of what they used to call 8 competencies. And I'll just show those to you now. So the old 8 competencies that were nominated and quite still often get referred to were topic development, authorship and product development, platform mechanics, presenting and performing, professional awareness, professional relationships, sales and marketing, and managing the business. And a very comprehensive overview of the areas that you need to be able to focus on to be able to make a speaking business successful. And that's probably where Speakers Academy filled a huge gap in the market, and certainly a crying need, because there's nowhere that we're aware where you can go off and get a degree in what we actually do. And I'm not aware of any university, and thank goodness not even any technical college which has proposed to put together a program which will teach someone what they need to know, not to be able to just speak effectively, but to be able to turn it into a sustainable and profitable business. And so we adopted quite happily those old 8 competencies, and I was many years ago involved in running many of the modules for those, which used to be run in generally 2-day face-to-face sessions. A little while ago, a lot of the information needed updating, and so also based on my and others' experience in conducting those sessions, we actually combined the information into 6 new modules, as we've called them, and really it's exactly the same content as was there before, just updated, but just organised what seemed to be with a little bit more congruence, a little bit more logic. So you'll see that topic development and authorship and product development didn't change at all. Platform mechanics and presenting and performing, which in these technological lead-driven days tended to overlap an awful lot, seemed logical to combine those into one larger module called the speaking craft. Professional awareness and professional relationships similarly seemed more logical to be able to combine that content into a module we called the speaking profession. And then sales and marketing and deciding on the most effective business model for you finished off the last two modules. So we haven't done away with any of the content. We've just combined it in a way that, as I said, is a little bit more congruent and easy to follow. And just to be able to give you a very quick overview of what's contained in those 6 modules. Excuse me. The first one is authorship and product development, and we ask you to look at what products you might have as part of your business. What can give you something which might provide effective back-of-room sales, or maybe some product that you can offer online that's going to generate passive income for you. So what products would be required, would be affordable, would be practical for a speaker starting out in the profession, and maybe what price range would be best decided on. So when looking at authorship and product development, we cover many different areas. How you can use your writing ability to be able to create market profile, to be able to position yourself, and also to be able to create product which can generate income for you. And we then move on to the next module, which is looking at your business model, and probably the most dynamic of all of the areas nowadays, as income streams for those of us full-time in the industry, certainly for me, seem to change constantly. So how might you be able to take the income streams from maybe from your speaking, from the products you produce, from your training, and how much you'd be able to turn that into an income that's going to be able to support a viable business and the lifestyle that you desire. And as I said, this changes constantly. Speaking from my own personal example, if I was to look at my income coming up to the end of this financial year, 2 years ago I could never have predicted the income that I would earn from overseas work, but most interestingly from overseas work that I have conducted by sitting at my own desk in using a webinar format like I'm speaking on now, or maybe even just communicating with people via Skype. So those income streams, as the market constantly changes, as the technology that's available constantly changes, is going to be a constantly moving and dynamic area for everyone, and to be able to choose the right business model which allows you to be able to have the flexibility to be able to quickly maximize the opportunities that appear, I think is one of the best things about our industry. We then look at topic development. What are you qualified to speak about? I mean, we often say when we're speaking to people who are looking at giving themselves a profile in the industry, you can either be a topic-based speaker or you can be a celebrity speaker. So unless there's a lot of you out there who have Olympic gold medals hanging around your neck or have recently climbed Everest without oxygen, then you're probably going to need some expertise in a particular topic to be able to allow people to decide whether they want to hire you or not. So you need to decide two things. First of all, what are you qualified to speak about? What do you have the experience in? What do you have the expertise in? And probably even more importantly, what are you passionate about? Because if this is going to be your topic and you're going to be a successful speaker, you're going to be speaking about it a lot, and you'd better like it, because there is probably no more miserable life than that of a speaker who constantly has to speak about a topic of which they are bored. And in your topic development, you have to decide how might you customize it. Do you have a topic that's similar to many other people out there? For example, one of the areas that I specialize in is in the area of sales. And I'm very aware, obviously, of the fact that there are many, many other people filling a great need out there for sales training, sales presentations. And so how do I customize it? How do I be able to distinguish myself from other people in the market? And it is simply not to say, that, not good enough to say that you're Australia or New Zealand's leading speaker on some particular topic. That's probably not right, unfair to your fellow speakers, and not really the sort of image I think most of us want to create. And how would you make it uniquely yours? So how will you be able to present it in such a way that they need to be able to get you to be able to say it, because only you can say it in your own special way. Many speakers, I would suggest, who have more than adequate expertise and in their topic and ability on the platform fail because of their ability to be able to sell themselves. So we spend, some very important time on looking at the actual sales process from the perspective of our very unique industry. So using what we do, talking to the type of clients that we need to talk to, how do we go about our prospecting? How do we go about connecting with people and being able to keep our name in front of them so we are top of mind when they need a speaker or a trainer or an MC? How do we sit down with a client and take them through a needs analysis, which perhaps gives us an opportunity to be able to turn a single one-off booking into maybe multiple bookings, turn a one-off customer into a long-term client. How do you put together your proposal? What's the best way to be able to put that proposal? And what are the special things that you need to consider in our industry? How do you negotiate that? How do you be able to put your best value proposition? How do you get them not to just consider you on something like a single rate or a day rate, even worse? How do you get them to think about the value that you add to their organisation, to their event? How do you get confirmation for that and make sure that your diary is not full of very impressive penciled-in bookings, most of which never eventuate? And then how do you follow up? How do you make sure that you've met the needs of the client? And then how do you continue to be able to nurture that relationship and build the leverage so you can be, as I said before, top of mind when they're next looking for a speaker or a trainer? And then you always need to remember about your marketing principles. What's your position in the market? And this will determine, obviously, what fee you can charge, but also how you might market yourself. What is the actual product? Obviously, you are the first product, but then do you actually have tangible products that you might be able to offer as well? What is the price range that you should be working at? And what are the most effective ways of being able to promote yourself? And then we look at the area of the speaker's craft, which includes the skills on the platform and also your use of technology to be able to create a unique experience for those who are involved in your presentation. So to be able to understand what's unique about your style, to be able to understand what role you should fill. Is it as a keynoter, or maybe a trainer or workshop leader? Perhaps a facilitator, maybe a panelist or an MC. And then finally, the sixth module looks at the speaking profession. It addresses the fact that most members of their national speakers associations aren't aware of the fact that they are ipso facto members of the Global Speakers Federation, and so they then aren't able to tap in to that rich network of information. And even if you don't see yourself as doing a lot of speaking internationally, there is still a lot to be able to be learned from those who are out there doing that, which can give you a lot of valuable information about the way that you might progress your own speaking business. And then also we look at the National Speakers Association, what that offers as a professional body, the speakers bureaus and maybe how they've changed over the last few years, PCOs or professional conference organisers, often involved in at least recommending speakers, and other relevant industry associations that you need to be aware of, and how you can build rich relationships with the important people in the appropriate associations. Warwick, I'd just like to throw across to you and see if there are any questions from you or from any of our attendees.
So any questions? What Kevin's just gone over is some of the different webinars that we'll be covering and the different content that's there. Is there any questions that anyone's got regarding that? If so, can you just raise your hand or put the question in the question box, and we'll see that comes through. While we're waiting for anyone to raise their hand or ask any questions, I've been privileged to facilitate the first couple of webinars. They've been actually really good. A whole lot of stuff has come up for people that they weren't expecting in relation to developing their expertise. How do they get that level of expertise? We've had, in terms of topic development, we had one of the presenter has built their own significant process that they are now licensing some of their material into different organisations and getting paid license fees rather than speaking fees. As Kevin was saying, it's fantastic when you're getting paid money for not actually doing the work on a client's site. One of the biggest issues we have in the speaking industry is the dilemma of time for money. So some of the tips and tools that are coming out of these sessions is, how do I break away from that? In addition to the webinars that are part of the Speakers Academy, there are some other webinars that we run which really fit very well into it. One of them we had during the week with Ian Hutchinson, and he generates more income from the licensing and the work that he doesn't do face-to-face than he does do face-to-face. So that's the kind of expertise that you're able to track into. I think one of the biggest issues that people have, sorry, a question has just come through. Can we explain the accreditation that Academy confers, and is it an international accreditation? So Kevin, I'm going to throw this one back to you. And any thoughts I might have at the end of it. So tell me about, after you've done Speaking Academy, what does that mean?
Okay, well, first of all, it gives you fantastic learning and takes you, I believe, probably shortens your learning curve by about 2 years for those who might be starting out in the speaking industry. It does give you credit towards your levels of accreditation with the National Speakers Association, but I can't be too definite about that, because the accreditation requirements for the National Speakers Association of Australia are currently under review, so that situation may change. It certainly does not confer on you any internationally recognised accreditation, but I am also aware of moves by many of the other speakers associations from other member countries, where they are looking at using Academy as the first step of accreditation, but nothing is formalised at this moment.
Karen, if I can add to that, the accreditation process is all about your standing as a speaker in the industry. This program is more about making sure that you have the essential skills. It actually does fast track you to becoming a member, which is moving up from an associate member. As Kevin said, that the higher levels are being reviewed, but what you will find is it will boost you. one of the side effects in terms of speaking to others who have gone through Speakers Academy, what it gives them is a close network of colleagues that help encourage them and give them accountability to move up in the accreditation process. So while it's not a formal, internationally recognised accreditation, it puts you on the path towards your CSP, which is.
Thank you, Warwick. And also, I'd like people to think about Academy as not a standalone program which is going to be able to give the best outcome on its own. For example, I would suggest for any speaker starting out that obviously they would join their local association, and then they might seek an appropriate mentor, somebody who they could use, somebody experienced, who they could use as a particular reference source. And that's I think one of the unique things about our associations is that experienced speakers, as long as they feel that their time is going to be spent valuably, are quite happy to act as mentors for those who are entering onto the speaking path. Those of us who do have CSP after our name have a vested interest in seeing everyone else who is coming into the industry being as well informed and as skillful as possible. So what I would encourage people to look at maybe getting a mentor as they start their work through Speakers Academy, because there may be questions Speakers Academy will unearth for them that they would like to dig deeper, to maybe strangle that metaphor, to be able to explore further with their mentor. I would also encourage people to think about either forum here in NSAA or mastermind groups, and taking that group, as Warwick mentioned, of people that they may have met even online through the webinars, or they might meet at the graduation days, which is something I'll explain in a few minutes, and then forming themselves into a group which agree to meet maybe once a month for the next 6 months, just to be able to keep each other honest, just to be able to give that extra little incentive that the commitments that I make at the end of my Academy sessions are something that I'm really going to follow through on, and I don't just need to answer to myself. I've got this valuable group of peers that is going to be able to help me to accelerate that learning path. So I'd encourage people to see Academy as a very, very important and major piece of that jigsaw that can allow people to assemble their own unique speaking business. Just to give you a quick overview of how Academy has changed, the two-day face-to-face sessions always had spectacular feedback, and people were very, very impressed with the information, with the willingness of the facilitators to share. We had problems in that it was getting more and more difficult with people's busy lives for people to be able to attend on the days that we would actually put together the face-to-face sessions. And so we also had many requests from people who lived outside the capital cities wanting to be able to have access to Academy, and that was very, very difficult unless they put together a package with a 3 days stay in a capital city to be able to allow them to attend the Academy sessions. So we needed to find a better way of delivering the information. I also, if I want to be really honest, believe that quite often people walked away from the old model of Academy feeling a little bit overwhelmed, feeling very impressed with the amount of information that they had, but because they received so much information, it was very difficult for them to be able to concretize that, to be able to assimilate that into the speaking business that they wanted to build. And so we actually took the learning and divided it up. And it's best explained if I tell you how it now works. When you register for Academy, what you first receive is your pre-work. This is a significant amount of information in some cases. So it's reading, which will allow you to be able to be informed about the stuff that you simply need to know about how this industry works, and the terminology that people use. And it was just seemed obvious that it was better to give you that in a written format that could be there as a reference, rather than having somebody actually tell you in a room and requiring you to make notes about it. So and the pre-work also asks people to think about important questions. Ask them to think about their areas of expertise. Ask them to think about who might be their potential market, or maybe the lifestyle that they want to create and what sort of business model might be able to support that. So the pre-work's crucially important because it informs people about basic information, but it also allows them to be able to focus and to be able to think about the parts of their life that they will bring into this this new venture, and how it might be able to be most valuable to them. You also get access, as Warwick mentioned. A number of the webinars have, or all the webinars are being recorded, and so this will be a growing archive of recorded webinars of the different modules. And as soon as you register, you will get access to all of those recorded webinars, and you might choose to tap in and listen to the webinar on topic development run by Steve Simpson, CSP, before you attend the webinar that you're going to attend live on topic development run by a different CSP. So again, I believe people are going into the actual learning modules better informed, better prepared, better able to extract the most value from the information. We then go into
if I can just interrupt for a little bit there too, Kevin, having sat in on the last couple of sessions, the guys who run, and I use the term guy, non-gender specifically, the people who run the webinars are so generous with their knowledge and their time, and frequently they'll also give their contact details so you can get in touch with them if you have specific questions afterwards. So with these webinars, if you're watching it and you've got a specific question that applies to you, I'm sure that they would be welcoming of that. They'll be welcome of receiving that. By the way, Kevin, another question has just come through about next year. New Zealand can deliver online using both Australian CSPs and New Zealand CSPs. So, is NSAA extending this to New Zealand?
We've had very positive and cooperative discussions with our brothers and sisters across the Tasman,
yep.
And yeah, anything that's being done over there is done totally with our support. I wasn't aware of the fact that they were moving to a more online module, but I'm thrilled, and I see some genuine synergies there. So
yeah, and Kevin, the discussions that you and I have had, and also that we've had at a board level, just to let everyone know, is that with this academy, we're really thrilled to be able to roll it out, and the joy of the webinars means that we can do it internationally, and then maybe locally have the local flavour, because I'm certain that there are specific things that apply in each country. So that's part of the plan. The other question that's come through from Roberta, sorry about that, is the weekend the first face-to-face, or which week? So when does the weekend happen? And that is the first face-to-face, isn't it?
Well, the only face-to-face in our model is the graduation day.
Right.
So if I can just go through and explain the rest of that model, that might just answer some of those questions, and then happy to come back for any others. Warwick? Okay. So after you get the pre-work, you then enter into the modules, and the modules are still numbered, but that's really a hangover from the old model. And in hindsight, I probably should have done away with the numbers, because people logically then start thinking they should be doing number 1 first. In our new model, it doesn't matter where you enter the cycle. So this allows people to be able to register for Academy at the time that suits them, and that way they could enter the cycle doing because each one of these modules is self-contained. They get into the module at sales and marketing and then work their way around the cycle that way. They get into the module at your business model and work their way around the cycle that way. So it's meant to give the most flexibility to be able to allow people to attend the live sessions that they can actually be at. And with your registration with Academy, you are entitled to one live webinar of each one of these modules. And if for some reason in the cycle you're not able to make one of the particular modules, that's not a problem. You simply advise us in advance and we'll give you a credit for the next module or the next time that particular module is run as a live session. Later on you can actually listen to the session that you weren't able to attend because you got access to the archive. And so overall I think it's going to create a richer learning experience. Also, as the national manager, it allows me to be able to pick the best CSPs in the country on each one of these topics. So as Warwick said, the level of experience and expertise combined with the generosity of these people means that there's fabulous information that's actually shared at these webinars, and there is also time allowed for people to be able to ask the questions which have hopefully been generated by their pre-work, and so far all of the presenters have all been generous enough to be able to make their contact details available in case people have follow-up questions on that particular topic. So people, as I said, have access to the growing archive of recorded webinars. And just to give you some idea, we've already got a recorded webinar of Amanda Gore speaking on the speaker's craft. We've got one of David Penglay's CSP talking about sales and marketing. We've got now, I think, it's Steve Simpson's CSP talking about topic development, and I think we've recently had also Lindsay Adams speaking about sales and marketing. So again, where with the old model, you had one very generous CSP talking about a topic from their own perspective. Now you're able to hear not only the perspective of the CSP running the live webinar that you attend, but you'll also be able to get different perspectives from equally qualified CSPs speaking about that same topic in the recorded webinars. Because the unique nature of our business is that, and I think, Warwick, you'd have to agree with me, I don't know any two successful speakers who have the same business model. And so it's not about finding somebody that you can copy, it's about being able to extract as much information from as many different knowledgeable sources that you can access so as you can actually create the best, most effective model for you. And then after you've completed those, you then move, obviously you can even listen to maybe a recording of the webinar that you attended in case you think that maybe there were some points that you didn't absorb well enough. And then you move on to the graduation day. So the graduation day, they will be held in capital cities whenever there are about 6 or 7 people in a particular chapter who are ready to do a graduation, and so it will be responsive to the need. It will be a full day which will be catered. We'll hold it in a really nice venue, and as I said, the numbers will be limited, and it will be facilitated by an experienced CSP to be able to allow people plenty of time, and there will actually be an expectation at the graduation day. This is not just a day where you turn up, shake hands with other people and get a certificate. You will have a lot of time where you will be asked to actually inform the rest of the group. What decisions have you made about your business model? What areas are you working on to be able to improve your speaking craft? How are you developing your topic? And what are you doing regarding your sales and marketing plan? How are you, what products are you developing at the moment? And you're able to present this information at a much better stage in your development, having heard all of the information, and in an environment where you can receive knowledgeable feedback, not only from the CSPs, but from your fellow participants. And whilst many people have said to me that they feel that with this webinar model that we have actually lost the face-to-face component. When I sat down and actually did a time analysis of how much face-to-face time people will actually get, when you add up the time that people have available to them to ask questions in the webinars, but most importantly, the dedicated face-to-face time that they will have at the graduation day, they actually get the same amount of face-to-face time with this model as they got with the old model. We have just given them, I believe, more flexibility and a wider range of facilitators so they can hopefully get a richer learning experience. So does that make sense, Warwick?
Very much so. I think what we've tried to do, and I know that with the team when we all put it together, it was all about how can we give the content that we need to without getting people to commit too much of their a prolonged period of time, with the flexibility to get the content, but then also give them the opportunity to come together, show what they've learned, and not necessarily prove what they've learned, but really make sure that they are paying attention versus just like, oh yeah, I've done the 6 webinars, and to also create that connection. And I can't emphasize enough how important it is for that face-to-face. When you get together, you do find that you're getting a group of people who you are connecting with, and they become, there's quite a few people who have created a mentor group out of their Speakers Academy buddies, and they have gone on with that and helped each other grow. So I think that is a key element. And what we've tried to do in this evolution is make it better for the participants. And like all things, I'm certain this will change in time, but we're doing this, and we'd love to get feedback from people as they do it, as to find out what is going to work better for them. And I think it's really important to note, as you said, Kevin, it's not just you do the webinars, then rock up on the graduation day and go, woohoo, we're finished. The actual graduation day is a working day with that tone of celebration, but there's more to be done to really consolidate what you've learnt from the initial webinars.
Yeah, we were really obsessive when we were looking at the redesign of this, to not just be able to create an impressive event that people would walk away and feel that they got value for money for, but to be able to put together the learning in a way that is designed to be able to accelerate as much as we possibly can people's learning and their progress towards creating a successful speaking business. And so that's where I believe that this model meets that. Maybe it requires more of people in the pre-work and in the graduation day, but we make no apology for that, because I think people are making a significant commitment, not only in dollars but also in time, and we want to make sure that it really pays dividends for them.
Yeah, very much so. And I think it's also important to realise that this is being run by volunteers, so we want to make sure that we're not chewing up too much of the valuable time of the people running it as well. So it was a real balance of how do we get people who are committed to give to the organisation and our members, and then also for our participants to get as much as they can as quickly as they can.
And Warwick, just to be able to reinforce that, I mean, this model has been very popular with the CSP facilitators. I've actually obviously found it much easier to be able to access what I consider to be the best experts in the country in each area, and it's even turned around the other way. And I don't think I'm giving away any confidence to say that it was only 2 days ago I had an email from Glenn Capelli saying, love your new model, and I'd be really happy to run a webinar on the speaker's craft at some stage.
Yeah.
And I think, Warwick, having people like that offering to run Academy webinars for us, it's just a fabulous opportunity.
Yeah, it means that it's a lot more accessible for everyone, for our presenters to be available for just the hour or so for the webinar, as well as the prep time, rather than committing a huge day, which, as I said before, in this business, time is money. And so as they're volunteering their time, we're trying to minimise the impact all around. Hey, so you've heard the new formats, you've heard how the webinars are running. So for everyone on the call, is there any particular questions or concerns or any thoughts around Professional Speakers Academy? and what would it take for you to be part of it? All right, now questions come through, and it's a big question, so bear with me. Terry has said that having received a pre-workbook which has so much information, I can't imagine spending a weekend and absorbing it all. The questions in each module require a lot of reflection, and it's great to have the time and ponder and really make it valuable. So Terry, thank you for that, and I think that's really true. So rather than overwhelming people in that weekend, giving you time to consider it, and I think more importantly, time to implement the different ideas. I think that is important because all too often we'll go along to a weekend seminar, have lots of great ideas, write it in a book and then shove it on a shelf. This is a more layered way of implementing. Another question's come through from Karen, and Kevin, this one's going to be for you, mate. How long does it typically take to go through the whole process?
Well, if you're able to attend each of the webinars, you can go through it in 6 months.
Okay.
Depending on demand, because we limit the number of attendees at each of the webinars as well, exactly as we limit the number of attendees at the graduation day. So, once we get a certain number of attendees at a webinar, we shut off the numbers because this is not the Planet Speaker model. People need to be able to have time to be able to ask their own individual questions if necessary. So as the numbers build, it's quite likely that we'll be offering at the moment we're offering webinars once a month on each one of the, so one module per month. But as numbers build, I'm hoping that we might be actually able to move to 2 modules per month, which would then mean that people could move through in half the time. So it's building at the moment, exactly the same as the
So at this stage, typically it's going to take about 6 months, and then when we have enough people who have gone through all the webinars in your state, we'll then have a graduation day.
You got it.
Awesome. Any other questions from people? All right, so Kevin, what else do we need to know? Is that it? Is there anything else we need to know about?
That's about it. There's the link there in case people
cool.
want to be able to go through to the page that allows them to be able to download the brochure, which has all the information there, and also includes the booking details.
Awesome. So if you're interested in becoming part of Academy and participating, head to that website. You can just go to nationalspeakers.com and click through to Academy. The pricing is all on the website. As we record this, currently for a member, it's $880, and for non-members, it's $1,180. For previous Academy graduates, it's $550. And we have had people doing Academy multiple occasions because the value is so strong that they want to go through and experience it again. If you're not a member and you want to become a member, I'm certain if you speak to the office that there might be some kind of... Kevin, do you know of any deal of where you can do Academy and get a cheap membership as well?
Nothing that I can speak about on a recorded webinar, Warren, but I'm sure we would be flexible if you wanted to join the association and register for Academy at the same time.
That's it. So we want to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to help you on your professional speaking business. So, and again, talk to the office. There may or may not be something available for that. But as it stands, as of today, the price of it for a member is $880 and for non-members $1180. So, Kevin, can I just say thank you so much, not only for your time today, but for all the hard work you and your team have done pulling all this together. So thank you so much for that. Thank you also to everyone for being on the line. It's been great to have you here, and thank you for your questions and letting us know what's going on. And if you have any further questions at all, please don't hesitate to contact us. Kevin, if they have questions about Academy, you're okay if they contact you directly?
Yeah, very happy.
What email address should they contact you on?
Okay, just kevin@kevinryan.com.au.
Very simple, kevin@kevinryan.com.au, Ryan spelled R-Y-A-N. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time today. If you have any further questions, get in touch with Kevin. Again, Kevin, thank you so much for your time. I wish you all the very best in your speaking careers. I hope you make it big. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Warwick.